you're about to see in this documentary is an exclusive first look at what our investigative team turned up about the making of Hume-Fogg. We managed to obtain explosive evidence of something that we suspected all along. I won't give it all away, but certain former AP English teachers, who must not be named, actually admit here today on camera, admit to systematic, widespread freshman abuse. Shocking, and you're going to see it here today. This same unnamed former AP English teacher made another startling admission. He said, "The reality is this school could have been anything. I mean, it could have been a train wreck without any trouble whatsoever." And you know, that's something that never crossed my mind. When we got here, it just appeared, as if by magic. But really, this place was an experiment. It was new, it was radical, and it could have failed. But it didn't. Maybe the people who created Hume-Fogg, like this former AP English teacher said, really were making all this up as they went along. Maybe they were really building an airplane in flight. But when it came to their philosophy of education, they were not winging it. Here's what a certain nameless poet and creative writing teacher had to say about that. "When you take a test, it means nothing to you except a grade. But when you make something you're proud of with your own mind, then you're getting an education. Then it means something to you. And that's what we tried to do," he said. That's what they did do. With their own minds, they created a place that felt safe for nerdy kids. My classmate Lisa Curtis called it a refuge. She is here tonight. I didn't know she would be here. I'm glad she's here. But she wanted me to share something about her time here. Here's how she described those years. "Teachers and students worked like dogs and supported each other as though we were on a desert island. There was a sense of purpose mixed with contentment," which I think is a great description. The faculty and staff here created that environment, not only in how and what they taught us, but because of who they were. And here, with this documentary, I hope you get a brief glance at who they were and who they still are. I only wish that I had been able to talk to everyone who taught here when I was here for this project. But this short documentary is dedicated to all of them, the Hume-Fogg faculty, past and present. And this video and this day is our way of saying thank you and sending you some love. Enjoy.
It was the 1980s. Hair was big, shorts were small. Downtown Nashville was a seedy ghost town, and city schools were struggling to find their footing in the decades after desegregation.
The magnet school, which originally the idea was to put black and white students together on an equal footing, which was a tough thing for us because there was still this mentality, and this is even frightening today to even think about, but in those days, there was still a lot of common thought that black students couldn't do what white students did. And it was just ridiculous from the beginning.
Ridiculous and wrong. And a few intrepid educators set out to prove it. The city's first magnet was set to launch in 1981 at the site of West End Junior High. But the day before the school should have opened, the court stopped it and told the city to put together a new busing plan. J.D. Taylor, Hume-Fogg's first principal, said he was devastated to start all over again. He wasn't sure he could face it. But in April of '83, the board told him he could have his magnet school if it could be ready by that fall in a derelict monster of a building nobody else wanted. So he and assistant principal Mildred Southwell-Smith said, "Okay, headed to 700 Broadway," and got to work.
We went down and looked at the building, and she broke into tears. The building was horrible, just horrible. And the downtown was horrible. Because then we had people sleeping out on the streets and in the lawn. It wasn't like it is today.
Those first few weeks, getting ready for school to open, Hume-Fogg High School, 4 floors, about 132 students, 4 floors, into 2 rooms. So it was like there was something going on, but you couldn't see it. We knew every student by name. We knew their parents. We knew what the class schedule was.
Every time somebody failed a test, I knew, I knew if somebody really got out of line a little bit. And sometimes just kind of saying, maybe we better come and look at that. We didn't have to know anything to do out of it. But I think just knowing that we're all there together and in it together, and really depending on each other. I think that's what makes it work.
We give a lot of lip service to multicultural education now, and cultural diversity, and what all of that means. I think that a person of average intelligence will agree that there is strength in diversity. Whether they accept that totally or not. What I saw at Hume-Fogg that first couple of years during its inception was kids coming together, irrespective of where they lived, race, ethnicity, socioeconomic status, with just one purpose.
We didn't know the direction that this was going, that we knew it was not going where other schools had gone.
They also knew to make it work, they'd have to find a bunch of risk takers who loved their subjects, loved teaching kids, and were willing to try something crazy and impossible. They hired 13 of Nashville's best teachers. They called them the original 13. Adam Kaplan was one of those 13. He taught English for the first few years and was assistant principal after that. He used to joke that starting Hume-Fogg was like building an airplane in flight. They pretty much made it up as they went. But that summer of '83, 2 crazy administrators and their lunatic faculty had a chance to map out what they thought the dream school should be.
The kind of vision I